All right, let's get right into it. The conflict in West Asia is heating up, and the skies there are getting more dangerous by the day. What we're really seeing is a major shift in tactics, with both sides raising the stakes in what's become a relentless cycle of attack and retaliation.
You know, when Israel's prime minister promises many surprises, that tells you just about everything you need to know about where this is heading. It points to a conflict that's becoming way more unpredictable and a whole lot more destructive. So let's unpack what's going on, starting with the massive action that kicked off this new phase.
So, the first piece of this puzzle is a massive, and I mean massive, air campaign being waged by American and Israeli forces. This isn't just a quick skirmish. We're talking about a continuous, strategic bombardment.
We're not just talking about a few isolated strikes here and there. No, we're talking American bombers and Israeli fighter jets in a coordinated effort just relentlessly pounding strategic sites across Iran day after day. And just look at the sheer intensity of this. In a single 24-hour period, over 140 targets were hit. That's an incredible operational pace, and it sends a really clear message of overwhelming force.
And to hit those 140 targets, check out the firepower they brought to bear. Nearly 1,000 munitions. That's an average of more than 6 bombs or missiles for every single target. They're not just trying to hit these places, they're trying to make sure they're completely wiped out.
And these aren't random strikes, not at all. The target list is key here. They are systematically going after the heart of Iran's military infrastructure. We're talking command centers, missile production sites, and even the fuel depots that keep the whole thing running.
Now zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Since late February, the total number of targets hit is over 6,000. The stated goal from Washington is pretty blunt. They want to absolutely cripple Iran's ability to wage war through this constant, overwhelming pressure.
But here's the thing. You hit a country that hard, you've got to expect a response, right? And Iran's response wasn't just to sit back and take the hits. No, they decided to escalate in a new and pretty dangerous way, which brings us to the next chapter in this fight.
So this brings us to Iran's big answer. They're not just firing back missile for missile. They're changing the rules of the game with a strategic shift in the kind of force they're using.
And it all comes down to this single number: 1 ton. This number right here symbolizes a huge and, frankly, pretty scary new policy. It represents a massive leap in the destructive power of every single missile they launch.
So what does that mean? It's called the 1-ton warhead policy. Iran has basically announced that from now on, they won't even bother launching missiles with warheads that weigh less than a ton. It's a shift from quantity to sheer brute force, making sure that any missile that gets through is going to cause an absolutely catastrophic amount of damage. Okay, so you've got these massive 1-ton warheads. That's one thing. But how do you actually get them to their targets, especially when you're up against some of the most advanced air defense systems on the planet? It's not enough to make them bigger. You got to make them smarter. Well, they're pulling out the big guns. We're talking about some of their most advanced ballistic missiles, weapons like the Kheibar Shekan. These are sophisticated top-tier weapons from their arsenal, specifically designed to challenge modern defenses.
And some of these missiles have a really clever trick up their sleeve: cluster warheads. Instead of one big target for defenses to shoot at, the warhead breaks apart into a ton of smaller explosives. For an air defense system, that's like trying to stop a shotgun blast with a single rifle bullet. It just makes the defender's job way, way harder. But it's not just the warheads, it's the tactics too. It's a two-pronged attack. You have some missiles screaming in from super high altitudes at incredible speeds, giving defense systems almost no time to react. At the exact same time, you have other missiles that are maneuvering in flight, changing direction, making them almost impossible to track and predict.
So what's the end game here? It's simple. Overwhelm the system. By combining speed, maneuverability, and those cluster warheads, the strategy isn't to hope one missile gets through. It's to design an attack that guarantees some missiles will always get through.
And when you put all of this together, what you get is a really dangerous spiral. This isn't just a series of isolated attacks. It's a feedback loop, where every single action prompts an even bigger, more forceful reaction.
This chart lays it out perfectly, right? You see the action from the US and Israel, a relentless campaign to degrade Iran's facilities. And then you see the reaction from Iran. They don't just rebuild, they innovate and escalate, launching heavier, deadlier missiles specifically designed to punch right through those sophisticated defenses.
And here's the really crucial part. Despite those 6,000-plus strikes, Iran is still firing back, and it's proving it can still inflict significant damage.
It seems the air campaign, instead of eliminating the threat, has actually pushed Iran to develop and use even more dangerous weapons.
So that leaves us with the big, unanswered question, doesn't it? In a fight where every single response is more powerful than the last, what on earth happens next? The old rules of the shadow war are clearly out the window, and where this dangerous spiral is headed, well, that's what's so concerning.